This is the Three Skeevers podcast.
All right, episode 42 of the Three Skeevers podcast with Grim from Grimsforge Gaming and myself, Icy, with Icyfire Gaming. How you doing, Grim?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. We have a third guest appearance from IsTh3reNo1Else tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So we have a lot to talk about over the next hour, but I think this was unplanned for what I'm about to say, but I just saw a community post from you, IsTh3reNo1Else, about issuing an apology for memes.
Yeah.
What's that about?
So I got notified about a post that was on the forums, and I mean, long story short, somebody read a meme and they took it personally, and I got accused of doing something I wasn't trying to do. And so I don't know. It's one of those weird spots, right? Because I didn't mean to do it, although I understand where it's coming from. Like that wasn't the intent, you know, because it's more meant as a joke. So just like, I don't know. I don't know why people take memes seriously, but it just keeps happening. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So
which meme was it exactly?
I can hear the pause in his.
I'll show it to you later.
Okay.
It's nothing serious. It's just like, it's something that I read and I acknowledged. I'm like, you know what? I can see where it's coming from. I'll try to avoid jokes like that in the future, you know, but I don't know. I don't want to make it a bigger deal than it is, because I don't want people to go and find the person that, you know. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. It's not that, like, it's not a big deal. But when you see what they say, you're just like, oh, okay, I can connect it. I could see it, but yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just a meme.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, Grim, you want to start us off?
Yeah. First, I want to let everyone know we do have a viewing room for our podcast. Right now, we got Aragon, Zoom Ton, Captain Crunch, and Sidereel. They're all here listening to the show live. And so if you guys are interested in listening live, you can do that moving forward. Just join the Grimsforge Gaming Discord. And we normally record on Saturdays at roughly 3 p.m. But if you're joining the Discord to sit in and listen live, just send us a message and we'll let you know what time we're recording so you can hop in. But just waving at those guys in the crowd, hi. So today we were going to take this weekend off and not do an episode this weekend, but then IsTh3reNo1Else released this amazing video, which you could go to his YouTube channel to see it. It's called Let's Do It Again, Proc Sets and the Waking Flame DLC. And I'll share it on my community page as well, and any other content creators. If you can share it to Discords. It's a really, really well done video, but he hits the major pain points with the current proc sets that are going on. And are you able to kind of sum it up or just put it into a simple package, the video that you made?
Sure. Yeah. So this developer group of ZOS developers have been doing different patches for the last 2 to 2.5 years, and it just seems like we keep going around in a circle, and they keep making adjustments strongly in one way, and then we go all the way back and do a complete 180, and it's just like we're just spinning, you know, like we're just going back and forth the same things. And this is just something we talked about last year about proc sets, and it's happening again, and it's like it just keeps happening, and it's stuff that it's happened before, so we already know what happened when that happened, and so it's like you can easily predict what's going to happen this time because it's already happened before. And it's like, why do we keep doing these things? It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So
yeah, in your video there was a really, really beautiful moment, or gross moment, I should say. You're up on the keep wall and you said, I don't even need to comment right now, just look at this. And it's you up on a keep or castle wall looking down at this fight going on, and it's just huge dark conversion conglomerates and plague conglomerates and just ridiculousness on the ground. right? All this craziness on the ground, and you didn't even need to comment. Like, that's the current state of CP PvP right now. It's just everybody wearing this stuff. And you hit the nail on the head when you talk about, we've already been here before. Those armor sets, those people that are wearing those just need to build themselves super tanky, because the armor is going to do all the damage for them and more now, right? We have armor sets that are also going to slow or immobilize, plus pull, plus burst, right? And it's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's almost like there's a left side of the brain with Zoss and a right side of the brain, and they're constantly fighting each other. You know, that's what I look at when I see it. I don't get it, or that overcorrection. Have you been playing CP PvP solely, or have you even like dipped your toes in the no CP yet?
I've been bouncing around on console. We haven't had the new patch yet. That clip was actually sent to me by somebody in my Discord, and it was like one of his friends in their group. I forget the name of the group, but yeah, they have Plague Break on, and they're spamming the Fighters Guild crossbow and hitting as many people with Plague Break, and the group down low is just purging. And they're trying to purge the dots off of them, and you just see the explosion, just boom, 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 boom. And you look down there and taking 35k Plague Break ticks. And it's, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have had this yet, but have you had anybody accuse you of using like Vatishran's 2H and saying it's cheese and it's a carry and it's hitting for like 4,000?
Well, that was the worst problem before this patch.
Yeah, like I've seen it a lot where people are like, oh, carry set, you're running the Vatishran's 2H because it hits for 4,000, right? And now we have sets hitting for 10,000. I mean, Cap'n Crunch posted a screenshot where he took almost a 50k Plague Break. It's like there's a little bit of a difference here. So
yeah. If you were in charge? What's the next step? Like, I know that's a tough question. I'm springing it on you right now, but if you were in charge, you were calling the shots. Where do we go from right here, right now?
I'd get rid of the 3 sets. I would say, like, this is what I talk about on my channel is build diversity is good, build variety is good, and these sets throw build diversity and build variety out the window. Like, there was a message from the developers a couple years ago where they were talking about how they want each class to have their own unique feel. Like, power dynamic is I can't remember the words they used for it, but they wanted a Dragon Knight to have its own special feel and play style, and a Templar to have its own like class skills and uniqueness. And this patch just says, you know what? Extended Ritual is a Templar thing, but you'd be ridiculous to run Extended Ritual right now. There's people in my Discord, they're like, yeah, I took it off and I put Bubble on. I'm not running Extended Ritual because I'm not trying to blow up. Like, even when you're playing solo, you still have to fight 5 or 6 people, and if they're all running Plague Break, you're gonna take lots of damage from each individual Plague Break proc. So yeah, it just throws that out the window. If I was a Warden and Warden's purging every 5 seconds with the Netch, I'd probably take the Netch off. And how weird does a Warden look not running one of its class skills? How weird does a Templar look not running of its class skills because a set's introduced that basically says, hey, if you're around 5 people, you're going to take 10k plus proc damage. It's weird to me that we've gone from, in this game, it's, hey, this is a group play game. We have group dynamics, but don't run in a group because a set might nuke you. It just doesn't really make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense that there's this hard counter to these specific classes, and I feel like this is just a bad path to go down.
Yeah, I agree. I would get rid of the sets too. Or here's what's going to happen. I already know this. If someone were to listen and these sets were removed from the game, all of PvE fingers point at PvP and say, why do they get to dictate every single change, right? We already know that's going to happen. I've actually seen that very comment. Why does PvPers get to dictate every balance and everything in this game? And I mean, the simple answer is stop introducing broken stuff. But what they need, you know what? Leave them in the game. Just make them to where they don't work in PvP, or only the
Yep.
4-piece. The 4-piece works in PvP.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can take them out of the game and take them out of PvP where they're problematic. And if you have those rules and people want them for PvE, that's more than fine. The interesting, really quick, I know you guys probably have other questions, but the interesting thing about that is it always happens on the forums, right? You have this dynamic where you have PvEers going, "Oh man, it's PvPers that ruin everything for us," and you have PvPers saying the same thing, and it's just ridiculous when you think about, like, over the years there have been plenty of nerfs that are PvE related, and it's not PvEers' faults or anything like that. It's just adjustments that need to be made in the game. There was, at one point in time, MagDK was the #1 best DPS class, and they slowly nerfed everything by increasing the cost of abilities on MagDK when MagDK was average to below average in PvP, but it kept getting those nerfs because it was an absolute powerhouse in PvE. And you look at other sets like Arcasis. Arcasis was nerfed the way it is because of PvE. People were stacking ultimates before boss pulls, and they were getting ridiculous parses on boss pulls running Arcasis. They were doing they're using the app where you change your gear, and then they would pop potions, generate ultimate, and then they would go in with their normal fight with like 500 ult Balorgs and nuke everything. And those combat things happened because of PvE. Now, I'm not sitting here going, "Oh, you nerfed my Arcasis, F you PvEers," or anything like that. It's just like this sort of stuff happens, and it's not PvEers' faults, and it's not PvPers' faults. It's just we need to say, hey, can we keep these things separate because they're separate games, and have it addressed that way.
It's kind of interesting because I know my particular group, they are guilty of doing that when Arcasis came out, so I totally get that. But I think it's funny that when the PvE stuff gets nerfed, specifically for PvE, it's always the developer saying, "Hey, you guys are doing this content too quick. We're gonna have to nerf these sets so that you could do it at the pace that we want you to do it." But then, of course, when the PvP stuff goes on, they don't say nothing about that until there's enough backlash from the community or whatever saying, "Hey, we need something to be done about this."
Yeah. And the squeaky wheel gets oil is a common saying, right? PvE community is much larger than the PvP community. How long do you think it's going to take until these sets are actually addressed?
Well, so I want to say that there's a motivation of greed behind it, but the thing is, I don't even think you need the Waking Flame DLC purchase to get these sets, because you can just get them by doing BGs. So technically everyone has access to it. So honestly, I don't even know anymore, because it's not like, hey, we're gonna keep these sets so at their current tooltips for, until the next DLC comes out, so then that way we can nerf it and people can spend money for other things. But yeah, I don't know. That's usually my go-to answer. Greed.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand why PvE stuff gets fixed a little bit quicker because it's easy to see on parses. Like, hey, this set's overperforming, whatever. A lot of the PvP discussion stuff it's a lot less intuitive because it's tough to find people that are relatively unbiased, that have a knowledge on a bunch of different classes. More often than not, you have people pushing their own specific class or their own specific build to want certain things. And it's tough because people often like pan it out to basically saying, hey, get good. Just get good. Don't worry about this. Just get good. And it's like, yeah, I mean, can we acknowledge that maybe a 30k proc is a little bit too much? Like, can we acknowledge that at least? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So I was talking to another content creator. We won't name names, and we had a very interesting conversation about some things. Some of it
Was it Icy?
Well, he and I do talk about this all the time. Yes. Mostly it's me whining and crying and him listening and saying, don't uninstall. But
really, that's a lot of our conversations.
And it's me. I can't break free again. I thought this was a thing that they were going to fix. I literally have 80% stamina, can't break free. So,
Yep.
but anyways, um, I was talking to this content creator, and a couple things kind of come up. Why would you release sets like this into the game? Like, if these are free sets, and if in the same breath you say you acknowledge that proc sets are a problem, right? And in that same breath, you release these into the world that have 30 to 50k tooltips on them, or they're killing people for 30 to 50k. How does that happen? I mean, do you have a quick answer for that you think off the top of your head?
I've never really thought of it that way. And yeah, it's the interesting aspect of these three sets, like it's already been mentioned by Icy, is these aren't DLC sets. These aren't buy the DLC in order to get the sets. You get them in rewards of the worthy, so they're available to everybody. And so the weird part with these is they introduce these seemingly for a reason. Now, I don't know. Like one of the theories that was bouncing off of my head that was posted on my channel was, I think they just like to troll the PvP community sometimes. Like I think that's what it is. I think they just like trolling. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be really funny. Let's do this. And so like that's my working theory on it. But the other thing is like I've talked to El Lobo and I've talked to a couple other YouTube's like content creators and everything. And we've talked a lot about cross healing and ball groups and this is not a negative to ball groups. Like, you guys are coordinating well together. It really does take a specific skill to function well in a ball group, and not everybody can do it. And so I'm not trying to degrade ball groups when I say this, but that you do notice a performance difference regardless of population in a Cyrodiil area when a couple of ball groups are running around. Like, it could be Saturday morning with no bars, and if there's a ball group out, like, you're just lagging. And you have to think that just all the rapid regens and purges and stuff going off is a part of it. And it, for whatever reason, it's ball groups. It's only like 10 to 12 people. There can be a 40-man running around, but if there's no ball groups, it's not the same way. And I think it's just due to the activation of abilities. I think that's what it comes down to, because a ball group is it's a way higher tier of a player than just an average 40-man, and they're probably activating more skills than a 40-man is, and so there's just more skills firing off in that group. But it just has a huge impact, and I think part of it is they're just like, you know what? This will eliminate them. Like, they won't really exist anymore. We maybe won't have to worry about performance as much if the ball groups are just getting nuked by a set. And I don't know if that's true or not, but like, it's my on the spot theory, I suppose.
Yeah, a couple things about that too. Wouldn't another solution be to just cut the group size to 6 and eliminate cross healing?
Yeah.
And now it requires, I got a 6-man group, and we are a ball group, and maybe we're running side by side with another 6-man group that's a ball group, but the level of coordination, we've just raised the bar for coordination required to do that, right? And I feel like that would be a way, rather than introducing nuclear capabilities to everyone in the game for free. But so rewinding, also, I had a what if you guys have been watching the Disney What If or the MCU, but here's a what if for you. What if it's ZOS's plan to release the most broken sets into CP PvP to get everyone to migrate to no CP PvP, and it will be in that moment that they can say, due to population concerns, we have decided to eliminate CP Cyrodiil and Imperial City. No CP will still be available for everyone to enjoy. In that moment, they then solve their problem of, how do we create these new paid for armor sets for the PvE community without making the PvP community extremely unbalanced or broken or complain? And that's my what if. What's your thoughts on that?
Are they still leaving it as no proc for no CP?
It would be no proc, yeah. It would be no CP, no proc.
So then you could only use Dark Convergence and Plague Break for BGs then, in that case.
That's right. So you could still use them, but only in a battleground situation. But from a PvP standpoint, open world, you can only use them in Cyrodiil and Imperial City. Or you couldn't use them in Imperial City and Cyrodiil.
I do love conspiracy theories and all, and that one does make me uncomfortable if they were going to go that route. But equally, at the same time, I find myself doing way more BGs than spending time in Cyrodiil and IC, unless I'm just farming or something like that. So
Yeah. It's
it's
scary, right? I'm not even
yeah.
going into battlegrounds right now because those sets. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever, having to deal with this. Like continually, and you can't like you hit an immovable pot, doesn't matter. You're still slowed, you're still rooted, you're still getting yanked in. You're like, it's just the silliest thing. And everyone's running it. Even the players that are like new to PvP don't know how to PvP, right? We can kill them real easy, but they can also kill us really easy if we're out of position. Like, and you had that in one of your videos.
Yeah, and I mean these sets are so powerful that I think if you're not running at least one of them, you're putting yourself at a pretty big disadvantage, I think, relative to the rest of the community. Like
Yeah.
that's where we're at right now. Like you should probably be wearing one. You should consider trying to fit two. Because
Yeah.
that's how good they are right now.
Yeah. Think of that Rothgar one. That's what it's called, Rothgar's Chill, right? Think of
Yeah.
that on the one-shot Stamsork build. And you use Deadlands Assassin because Deadlands Assassin requires a heavy attack, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and
So you do
Rothgar's
your
Chill,
D-swing heavy attack.
D-swing heavy attack, or yeah. So, and I've seen tooltips where the Rothgar's Chill, if you're dual wield, is you'll see ×2, and there's like a 24, 25k tooltip. Well,
Yep.
tooltips varying on their resistances, but yeah. So with dual wield, each attack on dual wield, it looks like it's adding the Rothgar proc onto it. So that's awesome. Here's another conspiracy theory for you, and it's actually from someone in the audience, Captain Crunch. He said, how much do you want to bet that the next new paid patch, they release a mythic that offsets the effects of these things? So they release that behind a paid wall.
I wouldn't be surprised about that at all.
Yeah.
I actually, I could get behind that one.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. we know episode 42 is the podcast to reference if that is the case, so that'll be something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, Captain. Hopefully we didn't just give him an idea, huh?
I'm pretty sure they don't listen to us.
You just never know.
You really don't.
You never know.
But I
Yeah.
will say, I think running 2 healers in BGs counters that BS from my own experience this week. I haven't really had too many issues with it. When I do run, myself and another person as a healer, it seems like be a nice little counter when you're getting pulled in and then being dealt all that damage, and then having 2 healers being able to offset all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's been working pretty good.
A little off topic. I was just watching a dueling tournament. The Gaming Apple was just streaming it. Okay, it was like a 50 million gold dueling tournament that he had, and
Okay.
I was sitting there, and he's on console. I think he doesn't play. Does he play? I don't know what he plays. If it's Xbox,
I think that's EU. I think that's Xbox EU, but I could be wrong.
Xbox
Or PS4 EU.
Okay, so I was watching the dueling tournament, and the Magplar on his back bar has a resto staff, and they're dueling down there. And every time he did rapid regen, one of the regen bars, you know how you can see who it goes to? It was going to his opponent. And so in chat, I said, hey, the Magplar's regen two times now has actually went to the opponent. Go back and review the footage and watch it. And then it happened 4 more times after that. Nobody even acknowledged that I said that. But and have you noticed that?
So I have a quick question. Were they in the same party when they did the duel?
Yeah. Everybody's in the same party, and these guys are dueling. And I also noticed that the other person coincidentally was taking like their heals were very strong, and it was hard to burst them down every time, like that window after they got it, and I was like, what the heck? Why am I the only one that's noticing this?
Yeah, that sounds super sus. Because it's the same thing like if you're dueling a Nightblade and you're in the same group as them, and as soon as they go invisible, you just look at the cursor because you can see exactly where they're going because you're still in the same group.
Yeah,
That just seems very careless, in my opinion, if they're
yeah,
dueling and
just
they're all
look
in the
up at
same
the
group.
compass. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, look up at the compass and you can see where their crown is moving. You might not be able to see them, but you can see. I just showed Captain Crunch that last week, I think. I was like, hey, check this out. We're in the same group. And I go in stealth and I'm moving around. He's like, I can't see you, but I know you're right over there. And so another interesting thing. So that video, oh, here's the other thing too. When we're talking about what ifs, okay? And this was something I was talking to a content creator on. And anyways, they said, you know how these sets right now, who do we all the PvPers, who do we point our fingers at? And like, how could you do this? It's the developers, right? Everybody's like, these devs are doing this and these devs are doing that. And I've been guilty of that too. I'm just like, what are you guys doing? You know?
Yep.
Now, I'm sure at some point in all of our lives, we've worked a job where your boss or your manager is not the one calling the shots, right? They're just the messenger, right?
Yep.
They're just the one that has to keep their job and make sure that you do your job. What if there's a little bit of that going on? And that's why we see the extreme left turn and the extreme right turn. Because what if the devs hate it just as much as we do? And I know we watch these videos, like Sawman puts this video and it makes the devs look silly, right? It's actually, the video doesn't make the devs look silly. The devs are kind of making the devs look silly, right? But what if they still have best intentions of PvP and the overall health of the game? And that's why we see the abrupt left turn or the abrupt right turn. Somebody's tugging on the steering wheel one way and somebody's tugging on the steering wheel the other way, right?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
So I honestly kind of like, so I have two working theories. The first one is like they like trolling the community, and then the other one,
Super funny.
yeah. I know in the past that they have trolled the community with specific sets. I've been in, like, I've talked to a friend that's a friend of one of the devs, and they're like, yeah, they absolutely did that. They thought it was funny. The Bash Crow, like they did that to troll the community. But the point is I part of me thinks that they did this because they were trying to help out PvP. Because like, what's the big complaints you hear about PvP? You hear about the Zergs, not enough counters. You hear, especially the last couple patches, because damage is so high, everybody's in Pariah. And they're like, oh man, everybody's in Pariah. Pariah is high resistances. So like, whatever, let's come out with Hrothgar. Like, let you want to wear Pariah? Are you sure you want to wear Pariah? And you want to take this Hrothgar proc real quick? Okay. So I don't know. Like, I go back and forth, and I don't know. I'm not in discussions with them or anything, and I can only just see what's happening. But it's just yeah. I would love to just kind of talk to them about game stuff. But yeah, it's just because I mean I really enjoy the game, but yeah, it just seems to me that they were just like, you know what? Maybe this will make the PvPers happy if we introduce this stuff that just hard counters the stuff that they're complaining about. And yeah, I mean, this doesn't impact me like it impacts ball groups, and I'm going to adjust. I don't wear Pariah. I put on Daedric Trickery. I put on percent mitigation stats. I make sure I'm stage 3 Vampire. I'm already not running in a big group anyways, so Plague Break isn't going to impact me nearly as badly. I'll make sure I'm a little bit more mobile to where I can potentially get out of Dark Convergence. And just, stuff like that. I'll be able to adapt. But the damage is so high with these sets. It's just like... It doesn't matter if it impacts me or not. It's just it's not good for the game, because the minute people justify using these, then we get more, and then we get more, and then it's just like, okay, well, and my thought is like Purge is a defensive capability. It's no different than blocking, in my opinion. It's no different than dodge rolling, streak, cloak. It's a class specific skill that 3 different classes now have, which I don't know why 3 do, but at one point it was just 1. But it's a class, like it's unique to specific classes. And so what happens, like right now, I'm sure you guys, I don't know if you guys watched Unified Gaming's video a couple weeks ago where he was talking about Cloak and how strong Cloak is at the moment. Yeah. But what if people complain about Cloak, and rightfully so? Like Cloak is very powerful, and they just go, you know what? Let's introduce a set that one-shot snipe blades when they enter stealth when they have a dot on them. Like, how is that any different than Plague Break? How is that any different than these other sets? It's just, you start the ball rolling and you say, hey, this is okay with these sets. They're going to introduce more sets like this. And then all of a sudden you're going to have, it's such a weird thing to basically say, hey, if you want to survive as a Nightblade, you don't play like a Nightblade. If you want to survive as a Templar, don't play as a Templar or else you're going to die. It just doesn't make any sense.
You know what?
Right.
I just had an idea based on what you're saying. What if they, because they can keep these sets, don't remove them, that's fine. But what if they put another factor or another condition on it, where it's kind of how proc stat works now, where it only works on like 4 or more players, or it'll amplify its damage based on 4 or more people. Why don't they put that same condition for these sets? Since if it is indeed to counter these ball groups, have the condition this. We'll say it'll take the current amount of its current tooltip on groups of players of 5 or more in a group. So that way in BGs, it's going to be less effective. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're actually gearing, PvPers, whether, all types of PvPers, to use this specifically in either IC or in Cyrodiil, most likely Cyrodiil, and it'll be designed to counter those ball groups that if I don't think they outright said it, if these sets were designed to do that. I know it's just a working theory right now, but they should just go out and do that. Just put a condition. That way, the rest of us running solo and stuff, if somebody does hit us with a dark conversion, it's only going to do like 25% of the damage that it would normally do, or something like that. Kind of how Pale Order works, where the more people in your group, the less effective this particular item is. That's the same way these sets should work. It'll just amplify with the more people that are hit with this particular thing. It'll scale with more people in their group.
I like that idea. Deltia made a funny thing about. I was talking to Delty about dark conversion. He's like, when I jumped on the PTS and I read the 5-piece on dark conversion, it's a freaking paragraph. It's a paragraph. It does every single ability in the game.
Yeah.
What do you think on that, though, what Icy said?
I like it a lot. I mentioned in a video a while back that I like the idea of escalating AoE skills. So like cleave, spin to win, sap essence, like pure AoE abilities. It does more damage the more people you hit. And it does a lot less damage on single targets. So then you have single target builds and you have stronger AoE builds. Because Vicious Death is great. Like, Vicious Death and Proxy are 2 fantastic sets and skills specifically. Having more escalating things to counter large groups like that, I think makes a lot of sense. And if you wanted to make Dark Convergence like that, like, hey, if you throw down an AoE and you hit 5 people, it pulls everybody in and does this. If it doesn't, it does nothing. Hypothetically. Yeah. And so you're making it a specific set for a specific type of fight. And in that way, I think that would make a lot of sense. Plague Break similarly. If you hit multiple people and this explodes like 4 people, it does 100% more damage. Like, have it escalate a lot based off of the amount of people that it hits, so it prevents people from just stacking super hard on each other. And I think those things make sense. But the big problem is so I had this question posted on my channel. People are like, yeah, if it's just one Plague Break, it's not a big deal. Well, I'm pretty sure multiple people can stack multiple Plague Breaks on you. And so if I try to purge, and if I'm fighting like a 1v6 and 3 of them have Plague Break and I purge them all off me, I'm still taking like 12k damage. Like I'm still taking a ton of damage fighting a group of people, and if I purge the one, somebody else is going to restack it right away, or else I have a dot on me, and then it's just like, I don't know. It's just willingly taking damage, and so yeah. Although like people like this is seemingly for ball groups, it impacts everybody. It impacts 60 mans, it impacts 12 mans, it impacts solo players because although it's not as effective, you're dealing with more of it.
Yeah. What would you do with Rothgar's chill, or would you leave that as is for the time being?
Man, I haven't tested it. And so some people are saying it's ignoring battle spirit. It could be fine. Like it doesn't seem like it is, but if it's ignoring battle spirit, then yeah, I mean maybe reducing it just a little bit. It's just weird to have a set like that it's like, hey, do X amount of damage if you build defensively. That's basically what it's saying. And I don't know, it's really weird because it's not Slodes, but Slodes is kind of the same effect, right? Like if you have a ton of health, you do more oblivion damage.
Yeah.
And this is like if you have more resistances, you take more damage. It's just one of those weird mechanics. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I'd rather you just put a cap on the amount of resistances that you have instead of having this type of counter. So
yeah. But
I don't know. I'm open to suggestions too.
See, now I got two visions in my head. The first one is it's at ZeniMax. It's at the office here. And somebody's like, dang it, Carl, you had one job. All you had to do was do the math on these sets and make sure that they weren't blowing people up. 50K? Are you serious? You know?
Yeah.
And then the other one is they're all looking around the room laughing super hard, like you said, you know? And I don't know if you saw the meme I did, but it's the Elmo meme where...
Yes. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and, you know, they're just like, ooh, you know, pretty lights. So, I don't know. I just saw that video and I was like, we absolutely need to, let's do like a short notice. I'm going to just reach out and see if you're available and want to talk about this. Have you noticed couple other random things, and maybe this will come. Do you remember the problem with specifically in Imperial City? I don't know how much it was happening in Cyrodiil, but your weapons would be underneath you, your off bar would be underneath you. Yeah, so that's reintroduced. That's back now, and I don't know how many people are talking about that, but for us PC people, there's an add-on called Clutch, and I have it. I just don't have it active. I hadn't needed it because they had fixed that, right? Well, now that's back. So you either have to unequip your weapon and then re-equip it, and that fixes it, or you have to do reload UI if you don't have the add-on. But for you guys, unless that's one of the reasons that they delayed, you know, that's something to look forward to, I guess.
See, this is just another perfect example of how PC players are carried by add-ons. Like, sure. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I get that all the time. Like, I don't know if you guys get it, but the PC add-on stuff and then the Xbox console, oh, you can't turn around. Like, those two things always crack me up. So,
yeah. I wish that you guys had those. This was actually a conversation we were talking. Captain and I were talking about it. Was why do we have to wait for someone to make an add-on for something like that? And something like that has to stay in the game for how long? Like 3 months, 6 months, and then finally something comes out. And you know what happens in that moment? Do they literally go look at the coding on the add-on? They're like, oh, well, there's the fix. You know. Like, I don't get it. Like, why are people making add-ons to actually fix some of this stuff that's broken in the game, and they're not doing it? You know?
Yep.
We used to have incremental patches. Do you remember that? Where, like, on a week, like, if something was
weekly,
broken,
bi-weekly?
Yes. Yep. Where did that go?
I don't know.
I know that COVID was rough for everybody, like the entire world, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but, like, this is going to relate to somebody out there in the world, but if you have a job and your job went to working from home, you're still expected to do the job. You know, I know your employer is like in transition because now all of a sudden our employees are working from home or whatever, but you shouldn't get a pass on doing your job, you know? So there's that. I don't know. I say the same thing that I said 9 months ago, and that's like, stop releasing the next new paid thing and just fix your game. Is Take Flight working now?
I haven't seen it yet. I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm not in the new. I haven't played the new patch yet, so it's not working for us. So
Okay, who did I just see that Take Flight wasn't working? I was just watching their stream. Anyways, I mean, that's been 2 months, right? 3 months.
yep.
You know, yeah. So Captain just messaged me and said it's not working. So Take Flight during this patch is still not working properly. Just to look forward to that. But that's
I
a
miss
class.
my DK, man. I miss
Yeah,
it.
that's a class ultimate, right? And it's just
Yep.
not working. So
I mean, I've got magma armor double barred, so.
yeah. So you don't
I don't
even
blame
know.
you.
Hmm. Let's see. Nethys just released a video too about a couple things. This isn't like a ultra, we're not trying to be ultra negative. We're just trying to draw attention to pain points right now for the game. But Nethys said, what was it exactly? Icy, you did a really good job of explaining it.
So there are passives in the game that are just dropping off at random times, and it's a lot easier to, I guess, get wind of it during PvE content, because for PC we can look at our logs and we can see our uptimes during particular sections, and when you're reviewing that your log data, you can see that some passives are just dropping off at random times for random people in the group, and there's no clear reasoning as to why, but it's just started for this patch. And I guess if someone was going to ask, well, how long has that been in the game? Probably not. Probably not before this patch, because at least with a lot of the people that I run with who do look at our analytics and stuff after trials or dungeon content and stuff, we check all these things on a regular basis. So if something caught our eye, we would have realized it weeks, months ago, if that. So there's no specific passive that is falling off. It could be from your armor skill line, it could be from your class skill line, a weapon skill line, it could be anything. And you'll realize it during a fight where it's like, man, my sustain feels off, or why am I getting hit harder for no particular reason, where everyone else
Yep.
is surviving something that I would normally survive. So that's going on right now, and there's we know, obviously we can see it in PvE. Is this happening in PvP? Who knows? There's no way to the combat metrics. I don't think is we don't have like an effective way to monitor our passives
hmm
for PvP type stuff. But I guess
You would think so. You would think it would
yeah.
apply.
Yeah, but I think Grim, for what you were, or even Captain, what you guys were talking about earlier, with I think it's that gray skull where you can see your weapon and spell damage. I think you can also, well, if you change the add-on in the code, you could change it to watch other attributes as well. So you can look at your spell penetration and any other metric that you want. So I guess if you had like a visual indicator and then you could see all your stuff live during a fight, like, hey, why is my penetration dropping by 5,000 for no
Which
reason?
was which was exactly what was happening to Captain yesterday in Imperial City. So I almost guarantee that um, it's either 5 pieces are inconsistent with working because he's running Heartland's Conqueror on that particular build, and the difference in his pin, like when he pulls up his character sheet from 1 second to the other, is roughly the 6K, or the difference of the Heartland 5 piece.
Yep.
And so there's that situation that's going on right now as well, that I don't know how many people are talking about it, because this is all just kind of coming to the surface right now, and people are starting to put 2 and 2 together. So his pen dropped with that. And then Icy and I have already noticed this too, that your Mundus stone will drop off when you go to Imperial City. Now, I don't know about, not every time, but occasionally. And for me, I always have my buffs. I have everything shown at all times. And I would zone into Imperial City and my Mundus is gone. I'm like, what the heck? And so I zone out to go get my Mundus again. And as soon as I get out of Imperial City, my Mundus is back. And
So weird.
yeah, and so the thing about it is that it just isn't a UI error in that the Mundus is there, but the icon isn't showing. Your stats actually represented as well if you look at your character sheet. So it's literally gone, and then as soon as you leave, it's back. So that's one thing to look out for anybody. And then another thing is the block bug. There are times where when you're holding block and you'll be taking 100% damage still, and
Yep.
the abilities are going through block 100%, and so that was a thing pre this patch, and it's still a thing. And I think that actually came to be when they did the block bug fix where it was burning a ton of stamina, and you'd like release block and then your stamina would chunk off. Like what would happen is, like, if Icy was holding block, I could attack him until 50% of his stamina was gone, and then when he released block, the rest of the 50% would come off. Whatever amount of damage that was or stamina that was burned in the process of blocking, it would double that when you released block. And so when they fixed that, they did something to where there are just times where you're holding block and it doesn't even matter. So you're experiencing that on console?
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much of it was latency or like it happened before you hit block or not, but yeah, there's been plenty of times where I get bounced and I'm holding block, and I was holding block for a couple seconds, or what feels like a couple seconds in this game, and yeah, it's, I don't know, it just seems like there's more and more of that stuff, and then more and more of these sets, and it's just like, what's going on? Yeah. What's going on?
I was just gonna say, is it when are you blocking on your front bar and then you bar swap while still blocking?
Right.
Probably a couple times, yeah, and there's that little delay on the weapon swap. It's been other times where I've just been back bar and meteor drops, and you see the meteor and you hold block, and you had that delayed fire that meteor has sometimes where it takes like 3 seconds for whatever reason, but I still get bounced. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. So like when we do episodes like this, there's going to be people that listen to this and they'll think that we're being super negative. All you guys do is complain. All you guys do is cry and moan. What if our actual intent was to draw attention to these things, so that way, like, if the devs were overwhelmed with, well, everybody's saying this and everybody's saying that, well, why don't you just go to one source or two sources and start from there? Two reliable sources, people that are out there PvPing every single day, and they'll say, hey, if I had to make a priority list, here's the priority list of things that would need to be addressed sooner rather than later, right? And that's how we're approaching it. So, and sure as can be, we'll have somebody that'll comment in the bottom of this that'll say, you're so negative, it's hard to listen to you. That's all you do is complain. And it's like, I can say this stuff with a smile on my face, but how do we get the message across? Otherwise, we can't post this stuff on the forums either without it getting deleted or canceled. And that was another thing that the Real Godzilla put together a great video that it posed a lot of solutions. He offered a lot of solutions to the problems with the PvP, and he posted it on the forums, and it got removed. And so it's like, where do we go then? What do we do? I don't get it.
All I know is I love talking about the game.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like doing the podcast. Just talking about ESO, whether it's the good or the bad. So
yeah, we love the game.
So I'll let you guys in on a little secret of my life, but I really like grilling, barbecuing, smoking meat. Like that's something I really enjoy doing. And I could make like the best rack of ribs. It could be the best rack of ribs ever made, like ever. And I would still sit there and be like, man, what could I do to make this better? What could I do? And I know that sounds ridiculous. Like some people are like, dude, that's the best rack of ribs you ever had. It's good. It's like, but that's the stuff I like to talk about. Like this last patch, in my opinion, this last patch was good before Waking Flame. And I've said it a lot. The only issue that was really holding this last patch back was performance. Damage, sure, damage is a little high, but I'd rather have damage a little high than a little low, personally. And you make adjustments off it. Like, it's small tweaks. And every time we get to a point where, like, we can go to different patches and it's like, hey, like just this one adjustment and we'll be in a good spot. And they're like, no, proc sets, no, tank sets. And it's just like, no, why? So, and it's not meant to be, like, I always try to be constructive. I always try to be constructive. I don't sit here and say I know more than the devs. They could have a good reason for why they introduced what they introduced. I don't know it. And so I'm just going to say, I know what I don't know, or I don't know what I know, or whatever, however you want to say it. There's some stuff I don't have access to, so I don't have the complete picture. But when I see Dark Convergence, that's a snare, pull, and damage. We've already had this issue with proc sets and snares on ground AoEs, and they were adjusted in the past. Why reintroduce it? That's the big, like, why reintroduce a set that does all those things that people already complained about? When people were complaining about the Vatistrans Destro not being purgeable, why introduce a set like Plague Break that blows you up if you purge it? It just doesn't, it's a similar thing. It's not apples to apples, but it's like green apples to red apples. It's a similar mechanic that still has a similar aspect, and it's like, this isn't going to go well. You know that people are going to get upset and annoyed about it. If you came to a few people in the community before a patch dropped, hypothetically, and we've talked about this in the past, if you came to a few people saying, hey, we want to introduce these sets, what do you think on paper? I guarantee you, anybody that's PvP'd, if they saw Dark Convergence, they would go, nope, don't do that. like take that back to the drawing board and figure it out. Plague Break, maybe, kind of depends on the damage, depends on the scaling, but Dark Convergence should just be a no, like off the rip. So,
yeah, I agree. So today was a short and sweet episode. We're about that time. I think we're probably all in agreement that maybe if we followed Icy's advice and we were able to just cut the 5-piece off, of those sets, that's one thing, or make it to where, 4 or more, then the 5-piece becomes active, and then they are targeting the people that they should be targeting, and then maybe look at the calculations as well, because 20 and 50k procs on it's a little extreme, I would say.
I will say specifically 5 or more, because I don't want to see that set in BGs.
Yes. Oh, I agree. That's an actual great point, because those sets are super problematic. And if we're talking about increasing the average lifetime value of your PvPer, like, you want them to stay with the game, why would you ever do that to a beginning PvPer? Why would you? Some people are like, those sets are fun. I don't know what you guys are arguing about. On my community board, I did a survey or a poll, and some people did say, they're fun, get over it, but not
some
very
people like
many.
Procs.
Yeah, but not very many, right? 50 or 60% of the PvP community was like, it's an absolute train wreck. It's a mess. So,
see, here's the part I don't get. Like, the people who are saying, "Oh, it's so much fun." Like, I had the photo I posted of a BG I did, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. There were 2 people on purple team using Dark Convergence. You know what their scores were? 0 and 5, 0, 6 and 1. Like, how are you having fun when you're still trash at the game? And I'm a nice guy. Okay, I just play support all day. All right, I don't get angry at all. But Jesus Christ, dude. Like, it's like all the good PvPers, that I know, they're not going to use any of those stuff because they're good. It's just all the regular PvEers who want to, I know we spoke about this before, but you're raising the skill cap of the PvEers with these sets, but then look at their KDA, they're still trash at the end of the day. So what good is it really doing them?
Anytime sets like this are introduced, it seemingly makes 1vx a lot easier in the beginning until everybody goes like super tanky, and then it goes back to normal. Anytime you provide that disparity, like good PvPers are like, hey, look, free proc damage on top of my already apparent skill. Allow me to nuke a bunch of people for free. And I've already seen multiple really good 1vx's from the sewer event from people in my Discord because they're running like Hrothgar. And yeah, it's really good. You put Hrothgar on a really good Nightblade and you give them another 10k damage on their burst. Who's surviving that? Not many people. So one quick thing. I know we got to head out soon, but I wanted to talk about this because yeah, I did this at the end of my video, and it's like a thing for people that listen this far. But I was talking in my Discord. I was talking to Herzia. I hope I said that right. He's a PC EU Magic and Nightblade, really, really good Magic and Nightblade. And he's like, yeah, he goes, a lot of groups are going to adjust to not purging people in their groups so that they don't take the Plague Break proc. He's like, what if you just go on the enemy faction and you start purging for them? What's stopping you from going, like, let's say EP's dominating a map. What's stopping you from hopping on a healer and going into an EP 40 man and having your 2 blue friends in Plague Break on DC just procking a bunch of people, and then you go in there with Curse Eater. And you're like, oh, you all get purged. You're all dead. And so your friends just 2v40 to group. It's funny because everybody's sitting here and they're like, oh yeah, these sets are fun. These sets are fun. It's not going to be fun when you're dying because somebody jumped in your group and is running around with you and they're healing you and you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about somebody wanting to run with you. And that's where we're at right now, is you're going to see that. And I promise you're going to see that because I'm going to do it. So
there you go.
So I actually
Video.
I actually commented on your video and I said Stendar's Embrace never looked so good, and I think that would actually be a better option than Curse Eater, because no matter what type of heal that you do, it'll proc on anything. So my scenario is, I had a rough day at work. The wife isn't texting me back for whatever reason. It's not looking good. Let me just freaking release some steam, log on my Nightblade healer, just throw a radiating regeneration out, and just watch people explode.
there you go.
And just keep doing that all day until I get my fix.
Yeah, you could run Stendar and Curse Eater. Why not? Like, hop on a Magsork with Power Surge procs Curse Eater. Away you go.
Oh yeah, just streak in, blow your whole team up, streak out.
Oh my god.
It's not a nice thing to like talk about, but it's gonna happen. Like, this is one of those things that like it was already talked about in my Discord, and it's like, yeah, this is kind of funny. And people that are like, there's stuff you can see and there's stuff you can't see. And people are like, oh yeah, procs go burr, I gotta do light attacks and kill people. And it's like, yeah, other people are gonna do light attacks and kill you too. Like, and you're gonna take a 50k friggin' Plague Break and you're not gonna enjoy it at that point. And all the crying is going to go to the forums from the 50 mans, where they're going to be like, I just took a 60k Plague Break. This is ridiculous.
This is actually a good reason or incentive or opportunity to remove cross healing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're on to my secret plan. Exactly.
There's the conspiracy then, right? That's what we're calling right now.
Hey, Plague Break can exist if you eliminate cross healing. Then those guys can't come over and heal you and purge it off you. So
yeah,
just remove cross healing.
Yeah, I don't like the Call of Duty. Maybe that's not the proper analogy for it, but I don't like the Call of Duty play style where each death doesn't mean something. Like,
yep.
And that's where we're at right now because the time to kill window, and now we introduced absolutely global nuclear capabilities in the game. These are the highest damage sets we've ever seen. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I don't think it's really close.
Yeah, this is global nuclear capabilities, and guess what? They're free. Go ahead and check your mail. Oh, looky there. But
hopefully you get them all. Hopefully you get them all. Make a quick million.
Exactly. And so it's promoting this playstyle where you don't need to learn how to actually PvP. You just need to throw this stuff on and just run in and see how many people you can kill before you get killed. And that's not riveting PvP. That's not it's a slap in the face to everyone that has learned how to actually PvP, how to bar swap, maintain your buffs, and maintain your CCs, and control someone into line of sight, and to line up your burst, and to have PvP is an art. Like, I'm without sounding too, you know, whatever, but like really good PvP, when you watch it's art unfolding. That's what you're watching, and we don't see that here. It's literally just jump down off of your spawn point, run in and blow up, run in, throw some things up, then jump down, run in and do it again. And hey, guess what? I went 20-5 just running in. I got more of them than they got me. Win. So
the perfect analogy of what you're talking about is, you guys watch Malcolm ESO on YouTube by chance? He's a mag sorc from PCEU.
So he was one of our first.
Oh yeah, he was. So there's a lot of good mag sorcs that have gameplay like this, but he's had a few fights to where he just perfectly lines up a streak from one rock to another rock, and dodge rolls an incoming specific ability, streaks on top of another rock, and it's all so clean. And you watch it, and I at one point I played an okay mag sorc, but I'm watching that, I'm like, I would have fallen off that rock, I would have died right there, I would have died right there, I would have died, because you just see the different little nuance things that he does, and you're like, that is top tier mag sorc gameplay right there. And I am not that on a mag sorc, and I just sit there and I watch them like, holy crap, that's amazing. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Whereas with procs, it's like, okay, throw caltrops, hit D-swing, Hrothgar, Dark Convergence, you're dead. Like, it just, I don't know, it just kind of cheeses it up, and it's an easy way out. And you could just up damage. If you want people to die faster, just up damage. And I don't think we needed to up it from this last patch. It was probably a little too high. So
yeah, I agree. Well, not to beat the dead dog over and over again, but any final things that you want to say?
I have a question for IsTh3reNo1Else, but he can go first.
I was gonna say, do you guys have Plague Break on PC?
We do.
Okay, maybe let's sum something up.
Okay, gotcha.
I just got that. Oh my god, I can't wait for Salman to do a video.
Yeah, I'll talk to Salman too. You guys all get Plague Break. I'll go be the healer.
Okay.
Okay, so last question before we close it out. So, the Microsoft servers that we've always heard about for the last year, the migration, right? We'll say it's going to happen next month, okay? But this is a hypothetical scenario. The migration happens, but there's some sort of I want to say disturbance, a corruption, something goes wrong, and all of our accounts, all of our ESO data is gone. Okay, and now every single person registered to the game has to start over. Do you take this opportunity to, you know what, I'm free, I could go move on to another game, or do you start again?
I think I would wait and see. I think what I would do is I would wait and see if the performance changes actually came into play. I wouldn't want to level into a game that's functioning the way it is now. And yeah, I mean, maybe I just mess around in PvE a little bit and see how other people are PvPing. And if performance is bad, it's like, nope, not spending my time on this. This is my favorite game. This is my favorite game of all time. I would really love to continue playing this game, but at some point, yeah, for everybody, the writing gets on the wall that, hey, like, they can't fix this, they don't want to adjust this, or for whatever reason, and you just have to make, whatever decision you choose is best for you. So
yeah, I guess it would be kind of interesting because, everybody lost their stuff. Now,
Mhm.
we'll say out of 100%, say 50% of people actually were like, hey, I'll start again, no problem. Well, you just
Yep.
lost half the player base. There's not a lot of people in Cyrodiil now. So I would
Yeah.
expect performance and everything just to be naturally better, just with low population and stuff. So,
Yep, that's true.
but yeah, so I think that'll be the last thing. So with that said, we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.
See you guys.
You're going to say, bye-bye, Argonians.
Bye bye, Rogonian.